Pag-usapan pa natin ang impeachment laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte kasama si House Justice Committee Chair Jervil Luisro. Magandang tanghali po, Congresswoman. Salamat po sa oras.
Good afternoon, Cheryl, and thank you for having me here at One Balita.
Pagkatapos po, Kong, ng botohan kahapon, ano na po ang immediate next step? Sino po ang mangunguna sa pag-consolidate ng mga reklamo?
Well, regarding the consolidation, it should be participated by all the justice members, no? Kaya ang instruction natin dito sa mga committee staff to make sure that they make their full coordination dito sa lahat ng mga miyembro ng Justice Committee. At kagaya ng naging order natin sa committee kahapon before we suspended, we will be preparing the committee report, the resolution, as well as the articles of impeachment, the consolidated articles of impeachment, because that is supposed to reflect all the alleged grounds already in the two impeachment complaints, the Saballa and the Cabrera, no? And then come May 4, Cheryl, the justice members are supposed to vote on the approval of all these documents. Thereafter, we will immediately transmit it to the plenary. Kapag nasa plenary na, we will anticipate that they will be transmitting a copy of all this document, most especially the articles of impeachment and the attached evidence, sa lahat ng House members, no? Including the Vice President, sapagkat ito yung nakapaloob sa Supreme Court decision in the Duterte versus House of Representatives case na dapat bigyan ng sapat na panahon ang mga miyembro ng House of Representatives mapag-aralan ang articles of impeachment as well as the evidence bago mag-plenary vote.
Okay.
So,
Yes, Kong. Sige, go ahead po. I'm sorry.
so ito ang inaasahan nating mangyayari ngayong darating na May 4, the approval of committee report, resolution, and articles of impeachment, and their transmittal to the plenary.
Puntahan ko lamang po yung botohan ng May 4. Realistic po ba na umabot ito sa panibagong botohan by May 4? May mga posibleng hadlang po ba na pwedeng magpaantala, Kong?
Well, I don't think sapagkat May 4 is kasabay ng resumption natin no? Magre-resume din ang session ng 20th Congress ngayong May 4. So, we expect a lot of Congs to be there and participate in the hearing of the Justice Committee for the approval of this committee report and articles of impeachment, no? Wala naman tayong nakikitang magiging challenges in as far as May 4 hearing is concerned.
Sa consolidation po, Congresswoman Luistro, may mga article of impeachment po ba na maaaring matanggal o madagdag at sino po ang may final say dito?
Basically, Cheryl, the alleged grounds or offenses in Saballa and Cabrera are almost similar, no? So, initially, meron kaming discussion na there will be one ground for confidential fund. Second is, lahat ng ito, betrayal of public trust and culpable violation of the Constitution. Tapos, other high crimes, no? But as two offenses, one will be confidential fund, misuse of confidential fund. Second is bribery in the Department of Education. Third is unexplained wealth and non-disclosure in the salad. And the fourth is threat and destabilization. So initially, ito yung discussions namin concerning consolidation. But of course, we will be hearing as well from the members of the Justice Committee kung meron silang ibang suggestion concerning the approved consolidation, because that was the motion of Congresswoman Laila De Lima, no? So on Monday, May 4, we will be able to hear kung meron silang gustong amendment, revision. What is important is for us to be able to finalize these three documents: committee report, resolution, and articles of impeachment. And once an agreement is reached, we should approve it and transmit it to the plenary para ang plenary naman ang maka-action concerning this impeachment process.
Kung puntahan ko po itong issue ng confidential funds at mga aligasyon ng umano'y bagman ni VP Sara na si Ramil Madriaga. Sa tingin po ninyo, alin doon sa mga ebidensya yung pinakamabigat at alin yung mga posibleng ma-challenge kapag nasa Senado na?
Well, first and foremost, we should remember na may decision ang COA denying the appeal in the 73 million notice of disallowance of OVP, Confidential Fund. Nag-issue rin ng COA ng 3 additional notices of disallowances. This is for the first 3 quarters of 2023. That is OVP Confidential Fund as well, no? For me, these are very strong. I give credence as well dito sa naging testimony ni Madriaga concerning the delivery of this confidential fund. Kasi nagtali yung date, yung mga taong pinangalanan niya are all associated to the Vice President, and he was able to show proof that indeed magkakalala sila ng Vice Presidente, no? Yung parameter namin, Cheryl, let us remember, was probable cause lang. And it's hard to say that it will be able to sustain until conviction unless we have seen the evidence of the Vice President. Ang naging concern nga namin dito sa Justice Committee, walang ebidensya yung Vice President, mababa lang yung threshold, and the complainant was able to present their evidence. That is why it was really easy to anticipate na magkakaroon ng probable cause. So, it's still a question kung ano ba talaga ang ebidensya ng Vice Presidente which will counter the evidence which were presented already by the complainant. For us to be able to say na masusustain until conviction will depend on the nature of the defense evidence na ilalatag ng Vice Presidente.
Pagdating naman po doon sa bank records ko at mismatch doon sa SALN, gaano po katibay yung mga datos mula sa AMLAC? May independent verification ba ito o nakasandig sa mga affidavit tulad po kay former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV?
Let us remember na ang mandato ng Anti-Money Laundering Council is for the banks to report to AMLAC covered and suspicious transactions, no? Bagaman ang naipresenta sa Justice Committee, our AMLAC report, this was based on the reported transaction of the banks. Hindi naman ito galing sa AMLAC eh. Itong mga suspicious transactions na to, itong mga covered transactions na to, they were reported by the bank and then the committee subpoenaed the AMLAC to produce the report of covered and suspicious transactions, no? So wala namang ibang basis ang AMLAC kung hindi ang naging reporting ng mga bangko. Plus, we should consider also one principle in law. We call it presumption of regularity of performance of official function, which we apply in as far as the report of AMLAC is concerned, because that is the mandate of their office. And therefore, we give credence do sa report na sinubmit nila dito sa Justice Committee. The same is true with respect to SALN. Hindi naman ombudsman ang gumawa ng SALN. It was prepared by the Vice President, submitted to the ombudsman, kept by the ombudsman, di ba? So applicable din sa kanila that yung mandato nila to be the custodian of this SALN are being complied with, and therefore we gave credence na itong SALN na ito are genuine copies of those SALN which were submitted by the Vice President. You are correct about the mismatch. You are correct about the discrepancy. You're correct about the disparity. As a matter of fact, there's a very huge disparity, no? Yun na lang SALN, Cheryl, 88 million na net worth. You base it on the net worth, compare it with the reported transaction, which is 6.7 billion. Napakalayo, di ba? Pagkatapos, nakasiro pa yung cash at saka bank deposit dito sa SALN. How will you explain the transactions reported by AMLAC? Kahit papano, nagka-cash ang Vice President kasi ang dami niyang reported transactions and all transactions are cash. So dapat na-report yun either in the cash or in the bank deposit. But they are claiming, I know that they are claiming that all of them were lumped in the item others. No? And that is why kahapon, nag-request din si Congressman Terry Ridon to request a position paper from the Civil Service Commission kung valid ba yung claim ng defense team. But we have yet to receive that response of the Civil Service Commission. That is in as far as unexplained wealth and non-disclosure in the SALN is concerned. And then siguro ituloy na natin, Cheryl, yung pangatlo, the threat and destabilization.
Yes.
Ang daming videos. At yung naging subject matter talaga ng investigation ng NBI is the November 23, 2024 video. This was the one taken inside the detention room of Attorney Zuleika Lopez during the Good Government and Public Accountability investigation. Tama si Congressman Laila de Lima. Res ipsa loquitur. The video speaks for itself, di ba? Nakita mo yung detitor, galit na galit siya, and he was uttering threat against the president, the first lady, and the former speaker. The video speaks for itself. And indeed, the NBI resolved that there was threat committed by the Vice President. As a matter of fact, the same was filed with the Department of Justice.
Kasi sinasabi din kong, di ba, na splice, pero pinatotohanan na po yan ng NBI na authentic po yung video.
That is correct. Pag sinabi mong splice, ibig sabihin kinat mo in such a way na binabago mo ang konteksto, no? So this was, yes, you are correct. The NBI testified that this is authentic video at hindi ito na splice.
Na-splice. Doon naman po tayo, doon sa, marami rin naghintay dito, doon sa unboxing. Yun yung term ngayon, the unboxing. So, mas paintindi nyo lang po sa ating mga viewers, bakit talaga hindi na binuksan sa komite itong tax records na isinumite ng BIR? Ito po ba ay strategic decision o may limitasyon sa panahon at proseso?
Actually, during the caucus, we are trying to explain to Congresswoman Laila de Lima that for several times we took the conservative side, we took the safer side, we took the more cautious side because we do not want to be a subject matter of another petition in the Supreme Court, no? But talagang she is insisting on the paramounts of the Constitution. Hindi naman namin nire-rebut yun. We do not disagree to that. We understand the supremacy of the Constitution. We understand the exclusivity of the power of the Congress in initiating impeachment cases, no? We understand that impeachment proceedings should be given greater latitude than any other legislative proceeding. However, Cheryl, ang pinapaunawa ko sa justice members, we have obligation as well to the Filipino people to make sure that this process continues, that we will not be halted by the Supreme Court, that if ever there will be determination of probable cause, we will be able to transmit this to Senate. What I mean to say is, we also owe it to the Filipino people to make sure na matapos itong impeachment process na ito until the decision of the impeachment court. And if we do not take the necessary caution in arriving in all decisions of the Justice Committee, chances are, baka magkaroon na naman ng petition and we'll never know. Baka ma-TRO tayo o ma-injunction tayo. So I think that argument, which was articulated also by many members of the Justice Committee, was supported by the greater majority when we voted on whether to open or not the BIR box.
So mabubuksan yan sa Senate na. Mananatili pong unopened hanggang sa Senado. At pero
Yes.
kasama po ito sa mga ebidensyang isusumite kapag umusad na po ang impeachment trial.
Yes, that is my inclination, Cheryl. Isama siya sa transmittal doon sa Senate. Pero hindi talaga namin siya pwedeng i-allege dun sa articles of impeachment as part of our evidence because we are totally unaware kung anong laman pa nung box. Transmittal, yes, isasama. Pero dito sa articles of impeachment, how can you cite the BIR documents when you haven't seen actually the contents thereof? No? So I think this was articulated also by Congressman Lawrence Defensor na i-transmit lang, but he was silent also as to whether or not this will be considered in the preparation of the articles of impeachment.
Aha, aha. So, depending mabubuksan yan, depende kung, well, first, kailangan muna magbotohan at makakuha ng 1/3 vote sa plenaryo para makarating ito sa Senate. Then, pag nagsimula na po ang impeachment trial, magbukas ng impeachment court sa Senate, depende na sa trial kung kakailanganin or maipapasok dito yung kahalagahan ng pagbubukas nitong box ng documents mula sa BIR.
Yes, we can actually move before the impeachment court for the unboxing. Sabi mo nga, nitong BIR box, no? But the challenge there is you are totally unaware whether the
Yeah.
contents will help your case or will help the defense team.
Aha. Okay, alright po. Okay, 1/3. 1/3 vote sa plenaryo, Kong. Ang kailangan sa bilang ninyo ngayon, komportable ho ba kayo na may sapat na numero para maiakyat ito sa Senado o may mga swing votes pa na pinagtutuunan?
Actually, Cheryl, I do not want to preempt what will happen in the plenary vote, no? Because I understand that there are a lot of factors which the House members are considering. One, of course, is the position of the party leadership. May ganyan tayo. Second, they are considering as well na malapit na rin yung next national election. All of us in the House are political personalities and we protect, of course, we are concerned about our political interests, no? So, let's see na lang kung anong mangyayari during the plenary vote. This should happen after the plenary has transmitted copy of the committee report, the resto, and the articles of impeachment to all the members and the vice president, including the complainant.
And kung May 11, ano po ang target na botohan?
Well, ang sabi ko, I am inclined to recommend that on May 11, we can already do the plenary vote. But it will be actually the decision of the plenary, not ours, because the jurisdiction now is with the plenary and not with the Justice Committee. That is after transmittal.
Okay. Naglabas po ng bagong interpretasyon naman ng Korte Suprema sa salitang forthwith. Sa inyo pong pagtingin, nagdaragdag po ba ito ng pressure sa Kamara na bilisan ang proseso at paano nito nabago yung timeline po ninyo?
No, my interpretation to that is the Supreme Court recognized the power of the Senate to decide. To decide when to convene the impeachment court depending on the surrounding circumstances, no? Hindi naman pwedeng pag na-transmit ngayon, hearing na agad. We have to consider also yung mga preparations ng Senado for them to be able to convene the impeachment court and proceed to trial, no? For me, ang ibig sabihin ng decision ng Supreme Court, it depends on the judgment of the Senate, whether reasonable period is there already for them to be able to proceed to trial.
Kapag umabot po ito sa trial, paano pipiliin kung yung mga miyembro ng House Prosecution Panel? Mas titingnan ba yung legal expertise, political weight, o kombinasyon ng dalawa? At kailan po ito ma-finalize?
Cheryl, pag tinignan mo yung rules, no? Wala naman sinabing dapat abogado eh. But because we understand that the proceeding in the Senate is a trial, siguro naging practice na lang to consider those who are members of the bar, no? But rules-wise, walang requirement na abogado dapat ang public prosecutors. The rule is silent, no? As to paano ba sila pipiliin, it is by way of election by the plenary. No? Ini-elect yan ng plenary, parang membership at chairmanship sa committees. Ini-elect din ang members ng prosecution panel. As to when this will happen, I think per my observation from the first impeachment against the Vice President during the 19th Congress, parang after the plenary vote, nag-election na ng members ng prosecution panel. So I anticipate na ganun din ang mangyayari dito.
Kung dun sa pagpili, may bilang ba yan? Minimum numbers of members? And then also, kung kunwari, ako si Kong, feeling ko, pwede akong maging bahagi or malaki may tutulong ko, pwede ba akong mag-volunteer at maging bahagi noong pagpipilian? Paano po ba yun? Makukonsider muna sa pagpipilian. Sorry.
Yeah. Pwede namang i-approach niya yung mga party leaders, no? So, the majority can discuss that kung maraming interested na maging member ng prosecution panel, no? But this is really a very tough job, no? Cheryl, I don't think na maraming interested na mag-join dyan. Unless ma-elect ka na, and of course, we appreciate this as a constitutional duty, which we cannot decline.
Paano po kung mayroon naman na tingin po ng House na abay, dapat bahagi ito sa magiging prosecution panel pero umayaw? Pwede bang umayaw?
Pwede bang umayaw? Dapat hindi kasi constitutional duty ito no? Parang naalala ko dun sa 19th Congress namin, yung iba medyo half-hearted. Pero hindi naman sila nag-decline. Sumama pa rin sila. Yun nga lang, eventually, na-declare tayong unconstitutional ng Supreme Court. Kaya hindi siya nag-push through. Well, theoretically, no, or in principle, dapat hindi umayaw because this is a constitutional duty.
Panghuli po sa political na realidad ng Senado, kung sa bilang ninyo ngayon, mas malapit ba ito sa conviction o sa acquittal? Too early to tell? At ano yung pinakamalaking variable na pwede pong makapagbago ng resulta? Kasi numbers game pa rin at the end of the day, yun ang iniisip ng tao
I understand. But what is significant here is the evidence of the Vice President. Kasi ang dami nilang sinasabi sa press con. But as a matter of fact, wala pa silang nailatag na pieces of evidence, no? To belie the allegations in the impeachment complaint. So this is what I am looking forward to see finally the evidence of the Vice President and see if these are enough to counter the evidence which were presented already by the complainants. I understand that this is a political process, no? Political affiliation matters here in impeachment. But we have to understand as well that the Filipino people are watching us. So if the evidence for impeachment, for conviction is strong, no? If the evidence for conviction is strong, I think the senator should consider as well the weight of evidence in addition to political affiliation, for them to be able to be understood, by the Filipino people. Kasi kung ang mananaig lang sa kanila, political affiliation, notwithstanding the strength of the evidence, baka magalit ang mga tao. And they are watching this entire impeachment process.
Marami pong salamat sa inyong oras. House Justice Committee Chair, Congresswoman Jervil Luistro. Magandang hapon po.